Okay, here we are filleting a crappie. And the way I start is with the knife angled towards the head of the fish. And with the spine toward me. I'm going to cut this fillet off first. And I cut down and in towards the head of the fish. And I turn the knife. And keeping the knife very flat and applying a lot of down pressure with your knife hand ensures that you get a decent fillet off the side of the fish. And now we're seeing something that I just warned Tyler about. If the knife develops a scale between the blades, that's what happens. You lose a lot of meat in the fillet. Wash the blades out, get the scales out from between the blades. Sometimes I can go 10 or 15 fish without having to do this. Other times, like it did with that one, it happens on the first or second or third fish. The second move is to cut the fillet off of the skin. And the same technique applies here as it did taking the fillet off the backbone. You use down pressure and let the knife do the work. Keep the blade very flat to the surface that you're cutting on and apply a lot of down pressure on the blade and the meat comes off very cleanly. I tend to remove these skin pieces. It makes the other side go a lot easier. Again, turn the knife blade so it's parallel to the cutting surface. And let the knife cut through the bones. One of the main things here is to not be in a hurry. Let the knife do the work. Don't put a lot of forward pressure on the knife blade. And here's one without commentary. We'll be taking the bones out of these fillets after we're done taking the skin off. My preferred knife is an American Angler. The blades are shark blades. Having a stable surface like we have over here with paper towel under the board on the countertop to keep it from sliding around is kind of important. So. Now the next part of this operation is removing the bones from the fillets, and there are two things that we do here. We first cut the rib bones out, and if you understand the how fish are constructed, there's a line of bones along the lateral line that project straight out from the rib bones, straight out toward the side of the fish. The rib bones sit like this, and these lateral line bones sit like that. So you want to try to get all of those out of the fillet. You want to take the rib bones out And don't be too worried about this little piece of meat that you have on the end, because you'll be taking that out as well. Here in a minute or two. My knife, when I do this, is following those lateral line bones. It's just laying right against them and just cutting the meat clean from the lateral line bones. So there's no bones in this piece. All the bones that are left are in these pieces, and we'll get to them in a minute. And as I told Tyler, if we were in survival mode, we wouldn't be filleting these fish. We would be scaling them, taking out the insides and the gills, and cooking everything else. Probably by boiling rather than frying. Okay, how to deal with the rib cage meat with the lateral lines that the lateral line bones and rib bones that are still in this piece of meat. What you want to do is the lateral line bones are right here, right on. There's the lateral line. You want to cut down to the rib bone, and then turn your knife sideways, and again following the contour of the holding your knife horizontal to the cutting board and using down pressure, you take that piece of meat off the ribs, and all you have left is the ribs with the lateral line bones in them.
I like the way it sounds in a dark and empty room. I got an old pair of boots.
One of my handy dandy tools is just a kitchen fork.
I can work all day and I can dance all night. I got an old used car and it runs just like a top. I get the feeling it ain't ever gonna stop. Stuff that works, stuff that holds up, the kind of stuff you don't hang up on the wall. Stuff that's real.
It doesn't seem like a lot, but that's a nice little piece of meat when it's breaded and fried. So. I know a lot of people that throw away this piece of meat entirely, but I don't.
I got a pretty good friend who's seen me at my worst, and he can't tell if I'm a blessing or a curse, but he always shows up when the chips are down. And that's the kind
Again, down pressure and the knife horizontal to the board.
stuff that works, stuff that holds up, kind of stuff you don't hang up on the
And the last thing we do is wash the fillets, and there are pieces that are taken off in the washing. Membrane that runs along the backbone, and the bottom fin needs to come off of these fillets. The one right here. This is that membrane has little bitty bones in it, and it's primarily just fat. So we take that off. Here's another membrane that had to come off. There's some more. That should be taken off. The fat has a tendency to be a little bit strong flavored. Here's another one right here. You see, it's not flesh, it's more membrane. Here's another one. Membrane here to be taken off. And here. But you end up with a pretty nice clean fillet out of these with the rib meat. It's just as tasty as the meat along the backbone. So. There's a piece that needs to come off. Like I said, if we were in survival mode, we'd be eating that, but we don't have to, so we don't. Another one. Notice sometimes a little bit of a skin sticks to that membrane. Last one, I believe. Yep, last one. And we try to dry these fillets. If you leave them wet, they tend to get a little mushy. So a paper towel drying them out is a good thing.
But I wish there was something that you could do or say.
I should probably mention the recipe for batter if you're going to deep fry these things. a real nice crispy, crunchy batter is made with 60 grams of all-purpose flour, 45 grams of cornstarch, about 5 grams of salt, 5 grams of baking powder, not soda, and 170 grams of cold water. And after you've made the batter, you need to make a dry mix with the same proportions. And the idea is that you dip the fillets in the dry mix to dry them off real well, and then dip them in the batter and immediately drop them into hot fat. The fat should be about 365. Fry Daddy works really well. And there's our crappie lesson for the day.